Candles in the dark. Arul didn't lead us straight back to the graveyard. He took us down a street we hadn't seen before. There's a church right by there, Arul said. Let's go there and buy a candle to give thanks to God. Thanks? Arul stared at him. For what? I couldn't believe my ears either. You're thanking God the Wastemarta man took away everything we had? The Wastemarta man didn't take away everything we had, Arul said. He threaded my free hand through one of his and reached out for you with his other hand. See, Arul said, and I saw. We stood together in a circle, linked together like an unbreakable necklace. No dogs allowed, Arul said when we arrived at the church. Can you get him to stay here and wait for us, Ruku? Wait. You patted his head. Wait. We'll be right back, Kuti, I said. Look after our stuff. Because surely our stuff is so precious, anyone who sees it would want to steal it, Mutu joked as we laid down the bundle of things we had salvaged from the bridge. As Arul shut the church door behind us, Kuti whined softly, but you didn't seem to hear him. You and I had only seen churches from the outside. Inside, the church was dark and quiet. Faint streams of light danced in through rainbow-colored windows. Straight ahead, instead of a stone image of a god or goddess, hung a wooden cross with a carved figure of Yesu, bleeding, with the thorns around his head. Awa, he whispered. Awa. It's just a statue, Ruku, I whispered back. It's not alive. It's God, Arul said in a reverent tone. Then he led us to a place where rows of candles were flickering. He dropped a coin into a box and lit a candle. We thank Yesu and Mariama, he explained. By lighting candles, and we pray they'll keep us safe. Isn't it enough if we just pray, I said. Must we actually burn our money? Mutu chuckled. Arul placed his candle beside the others. You watched as intently as when you made your bead necklaces. Then he held a candle out to you. Careful, Ruku. That flame can give you an awa, I said. Even though I knew how good you were with your hands, I couldn't help warning you. After all, you never held a burning candle before. Worrying about your safety was a habit I couldn't cure, and I hoped I didn't sound bossy. Wax strips and it's hot. Arul placed his hands over yours, so you were holding the candle together. I watched you set it in place. Again, you said? Mutu and I flopped down on a smooth wooden bench and watched as Arul let you by and light one more candle, and then another. Your hand trembled slightly, but your gaze was steady with concentration, your tongue between your teeth. Enough? I suggested, but you ignored me. She's hearing the voice of God, Arul whispered. Too bad she can't hear my voice. Telling her to stop spending all our money on candles, I whispered to Mutu. Soon we won't have any money left. But you were so in awe that I decided not to argue. You seemed to melt right into that moment, kneeling before the candles, your eyes fixed on the moving flames. And they were so beautiful, those little flames, dancing in that still, silent church, dancing like they could hear the music, like they were alive. Alive in the way you were alive. Alive right there, right then, not worried about what might happen in a few hours or days. Remembering what had happened before. I heard a sudden snap. The sound breaking my, but not your, reverie. A kind-looking woman who must have been watching us the whole time had snapped open her handbag and started rifling through it. We're not beggars. I assumed she was looking to give us some change. It's not money. She held out a small rectangular card. Can you read? Of course. I snatched the card out of her hands and read it out loud. To prove I wasn't lying, Dr. Selena Pinto, Director, Safe Home for Working Children. Below that was an address, a number and the name of a street that sounded familiar. A street I remembered in the nicer part of town. I'm Selena Anti, she said. I run a home for children and help place them in schools or learn a trade. School? My excited shout echoed from through the church. At last I had found a person who could fulfill my dreams. We don't need free stuff, Earl grunted. We work. Our children work, she said. They pay for what I provide by working for me. Keeping the place clean, obeying my rules, no smoking, no lying, no stealing. Stealing? A man wearing a long robe entered through a door I hadn't seen right by the altar. He glanced down at us anxiously. These strays are trying to steal, Dr. Selena? They're not stealing, Father. They're lighting candles. Selena Auntie started to explain, but the boys didn't want to hear any more. Come on, Akka. Muthu scampered out of the church. A rule pulled you out, and I followed. You blinked sulkily in the sunshine that had briefly broken through the clouds. Now you want to find another church, boss? Muthu said to Arul, so we can give thanks this priest didn't accuse us of stealing and send us to a policeman? Priests don't accuse kids who are in God's house, Arul said, but he didn't sound very certain. Well, it's a good thing that priest showed up, I said, or we'd have spent every last coin on candles. Did you see the faith on Ruku's face, Arul said. Her soul's going to heaven for sure, with mine. Good for your souls, I said. But can we please use what's left of our money to take care of our stomachs, too? So, for today's response, I want to talk about the new character we met, Selena Auntie. Just who is she? Do you think she will be important? Why or why not? And why were the boys so angry when she started talking to them? Okay, I want you to think about these questions and write a thoughtful response to them. It just gets you to think deeper about the story. Okay, thank you so much.